What's up, everybody? It's your boy DeeDeeJuan. Today was a good sports weekend. My Raiders won in a very, very close game against the dreaded Houston Texans, 25-20 at literally at the last second. We got an interception in the end zone as time was going out, and it was a very, very good win. Also, the Hawks won today as well. A very dominating performance over the New York Giants today as well. So congratulations to both teams on that. But I'm looking more so at my Raiders. Today's game was a very, very emotional game, considering yesterday the owner of the Raiders, Al Davis, died yesterday morning at the ripe old age of 82. So this win was definitely huge for us as a team, which begs the question of where are we going to go from here as an organization. I mean, we've all known that the only owner of the Raiders has been Al Davis. I mean, what does that mean now? I mean, he's been the man. I mean, he made the decisions. He was the president, vice president of player operations. He was practically the GM and kind of like the coach in the booth. So what's going to happen to the team now? I mean, not so much looking at this season, but in seasons, in the future. Are we going to see that dynamic grouping that of personnel that every successful team has? So I'm very interested to see that. I think that's what's going to happen, but it's going to take some time because it's not the Raider way. But the one thing that has been pretty constant even to today is that commitment to excellence phrase that Al Davis has coined. It's interesting because it's something that we can all say as Raider fans and even Raider haters, as that's something that phrase has been very, very suspect, especially over the last half decade. I mean, we really haven't been prominent as a team since 2002, since that Super Bowl that we did not show up at. I'm sorry, but Gruden got the best of us, and that was kind of the final nail in the coffin for the Raiders up until this point. I mean, I'm seeing a lot of positives from the team, and I like that. But at the same time, this is our chance to start a new. It's just our chance to really start anew, really. But and as many times as I've been a hater of the great Al Davis, I haven't necessarily forgotten the good that he has done, not only for the Raiders, but for the NFL as an organization. I mean, a lot of people, I mean, I'm pretty sure people know more of this now, given, you've been hearing about the history of Al Davis and the Raiders. But if it weren't for Al Davis becoming the commissioner of the AFL, the merger might not have happened so quickly. Possibly you might have seen the folding of the AFL and maybe possibly the Raiders organization as a whole. Also, when he became the coach of the Raiders in the AFL at the beginning, they had only won one game, and then he brought him to 10 wins the following season. So I mean, to say that he's not passionate or in a sense a genius is something which it would be a wrong statement. But at the same time, I think his old regime didn't, stand the test of times. It didn't cross over into the modern age of the NFL. Which I mean, to each his own, and to a certain extent. But at the same time, you got to be willing to, try what everybody else is doing. And I think his, kind of dictatorship with the Raiders kind of put us in neutral, which is the worst place to be. Because at least when you're going forward, you're doing something right, and when you're going backwards, you have something to fix. We just kind of stood there stagnant. But I mean, that's not necessarily a negative thing. He's also done great things, as kind of a trendsetter. I mean, he hired, the first Hispanic and black coaches ever in the league. And also I believe he actually hired the first female CEO, if I remember correctly. So, I mean, all these things that he have done have kind of helped shape the NFL, has shaped the NFL to what it is today to a certain extent. My hat goes off to him over the course of his career. I mean, go to 5 Super Bowls, winning 3 of them. One as a well, they didn't have wild cards, but at the time they were the lowest seed in the Cinderella season against the Philadelphia Eagles, which Jaws was actually the quarterback for that. So that's always a good thing. I mean, it's it hit me hard yesterday morning. I mean, I didn't cry or anything, but at the same time, it was definitely a bombshell, to a certain extent. And I mean, I've been quoted as saying that we might not win another Super Bowl until Al Davis passes away. When I said that, I meant that as more. I didn't mean that as like I want him to die. It was one of those, we needed a regime change, and so that was the only way you were going to get Al Davis to step down, because I mean he's a fighter and he's going to come up and he's going to stand his ground and he's going to do it his way whether you want it or not, and that was something that was honorable about him, and yet at the same time made you infuriated as a fan. I mean, he made some wrong decisions, you know, in recent drafts. I mean, most notably Jamarcus Russell, but I mean he's made some other bad moves as well, and he didn't necessarily make any friends with a lot of the coaches that he's hired and fired along the way, and his passing to me is kind of a I'm very torn, because I mean at the same time I respect what he has done, and yet, and also, I'm glad that the man doesn't have to suffer anymore, because I know that he was very, very sick, in his final days on this earth, in his final days as, Raiders owner. But, at the same time, looking at what he has done over the course of his historic career, you know, I'm, I'm, I think I can say now with the utmost confidence that I was very proud to have Al Davis as the owner of my team as a fan. I mean, no one has taken the route that Al Davis has taken to become the owner. I mean, he started out from the bottom. I mean, he started out, doing scouting, and then becoming an assistant coach, becoming a head coach, becoming the AFL commissioner in the final year, you know, helping, helping to start the merger, and eventually becoming to a minority owner, then to majority owner later on. So I mean, it's a very interesting path that Al Davis took, and just looking at that history, I mean, it's wild. I mean, again, we all have problems with with ownership in our respective teams. So I mean, but no one is as polarizing of a figure as the late great Al Davis, and so you know my condolences go out to the Davis family and to also everyone in Raider Nation. We definitely lost a great man, and his his influence and his two mantras will always live on, and one is just win, baby, and the second one is that commitment to excellence. In my opinion, is you reverse those, get the commitment to excellence, and then we can get to just winning, baby. And we won a very, very close one to get today. Hugh Jackson was very, very emotional about the win, and we needed that win today. That one it wasn't so much for us as a team, but that was for the Davis family and to Big Al Davis. So that's my slight opinion piece for today on Al Davis, and yeah, Seahawks won today. My dogs go back to work next week against Colorado at home. We'll talk more about that later on in the upcoming week. And yeah, go Raiders, go Seahawks, go Dogs, and rest in peace, Al Davis. This just in, he also just fired Jesus and became the God of all gods. Just letting you know, because that's how he rolls. Just saying. Peace out.